Well, welcome everybody to our third episode of the Nurture Nature Show, brought to you by One Earth Conservation. I am the Reverend Dr. Meredith Garman.
And I'm the Reverend Dr. Meredith Garman.
It's the April Fool's show. We're going to be fibbing the whole time. So I'm really the Reverend Dr. Laura Kim Joyner. So we're so glad that you're with us today. Again, it's a live show. Put in your comments into the chat section and we'll be answering questions and listening to your comments. And we're so glad that you've joined us here today. We're going to be talking about...
Is that an April Fool?
No, it's not yet.
You're really glad that they're here?
Yeah, I am totally happy. So this is about nurturing nature. So we've got several segments. Our main segment talking about current events and multi-species and what's going on in the world of conservation. All of this so we can nurture your nature. But let's go on to our main theme, shall we? We are talking about deception. I'm deceiving you right now.
No, you're not.
Everybody is almost always deceiving, or at least it's in us innately. So we're going to give lots and lots of examples of what's going on with other species and with us. And I think deception is important because it impacts trust. So why is trust important? What's going on there?
Well, for a hypersocial species like humans, trust is how we collaborate. It's any kind of cooperative venture at all can happen only if we are able to trust that other people are going to do that. Most other people, most of the time, maybe not anybody all the time, but we have to be able to count on most people most of the time doing what they'll say or something close.
And we're worried if they're deceiving us or lying or being hypocrites. And that
the
really...
more energy we have to pour into monitoring whether they might be fuzzing up the truth or trying to pull a fast one, swindle us, take advantage of us, the more energy we have to put into guarding, then the less energy we have for making those cooperative ventures succeed.
And I know conflict is part of human behavior, and we're going to talk about other species here really quick. But if we're not really good at trusting each other, I know lack of social capital is one of the main reasons that conservation projects fail. Not trusting each other, having exorbitant conflict, and not being really good at interpersonal relationships. So we're talking about deception so we can be better at what we do and have better relationships. That's the point of all of this today. And so what is deception in animals? It's basically portraying and communicating false information. That's what it means. And boy, people do that all the time. I think it's innately in us. It's like kids. They're just a bunch of lying little toddlers, aren't they?
Well, it's an important part of how they learn how language works, how they become a part of the human community. That this idea that they can intentionally put a false idea in somebody else's head is that's just a crucial step in understanding how language works and becoming a part of a linguistic community. So without some experience in lying, as much as parents want to discourage their kids from doing that, it's a key developmental stage.
Right. I think it's also ego defenses. They want to be safe. They want some control of their environment. They're doing things because they're, like you said, they're practicing seeing what is truth, and they're trying to protect themselves at the same time.
Right. We remember, of course, that language was invented so that we could hide the truth from each other.
Well, what about species that don't have language? The classic one we often talk about is the killdeer. It's a small bird that nests on the ground, and when you approach the nest, the killdeer feigns a broken wing, trying to lead you off of the nest. Now, does that killdeer know that they're lying, that they're trying to deceive us or any other predators?
Did any of them ever fool you?
Well, I think once when I was really young.
You were going for the killdeers
I went for
young?
the birds hurt. The birds hurt. No, I wasn't going for the young. I was just out for a walk because they nest everywhere.
But from the killdeer's point of view,
it
succeeded in pulling you away from its young and going for it.
Right.
And did you get close to it and then it just suddenly it was well and flew away?
Only that's right. And I had it happen one time in Guatemala. It was a lesser nighthawk that had a nest on the ground, and the nighthawk took off, grabbed a broken eggshell in her foot, in her talon, and flew away with it. And that sure got our attention. We moved away from the nest. So does that killdeer know what they're doing?
So the killdeer is pretending to be injured so that the predator will come after him or her instead of after the chicks. And then, but the predator is thus drawn off, and then the killdeer flies away. So the question is, are they intentionally planting a false idea in the predator's head? And we don't know for sure, but it's unlikely, because whenever just on the principle that if you can explain the behavior without invoking complex concepts, then that's probably the preferable explanation. In this case, the killdeer just thinks it is just aware that, well, doing this behavior protects my chicks. And he may have no concept at all of putting a false idea into the predator's head.
Like humans. Sometimes we don't, do we hold humans accountable if they're deceiving us? They don't know what they're doing. And maybe it's just automatic remote, like it is often in children.
Well, part of what we learn as children is how to understand other people in terms of beliefs and desires. We project beliefs and desires upon others. We interpret what they're doing through the categories of belief and desire. Mommy wants this, and that's why she's doing that. She wants this and believes this, and that's why she's doing what she's doing. We come to understand others. Only secondarily do we then turn it around and apply it to ourselves. We start to understand ourselves as beings who have beliefs and desires. Do we really have beliefs and desires, or do we just have a very deep and long trained in habit of interpreting each other as if we had beliefs and desires? And at that point, there's not a difference, because it's so enculturated, it's just so inculcated into our ways of thinking.
Well, let's explore this a little bit more with some more examples about how we're being deceived by other species, and then we'll come back to humans.
Right now?
It's happening all around us. So another example, let's see, it's if animals that play dead. There's a kind of ocean fish called a cichlid that plays dead on the bottom of the ocean, and if predators come up, will suddenly wake up and eat the other predator because they think that it's dead. The nursery web spider, it's a male spider, after mating with the female, will play dead because he doesn't want to be eaten after they've populated.
Do the other fish think the cichlid is dead?
Yes.
Or do they just not see it because it's being motionless?
They think it's dead and they want to come nibble on it.
They come to nibble on its carcass, and then they took to be a carcass chops up and eats them.
Right. And so
you only make that mistake once.
Only once. And so the possum does the possum know that the possum's playing dead when the dog or the wolf is just hovering right over the possum?
The possum may not have any notion that my lying limp this way is causing the dog to think I'm dead. Instead, the possum may simply just be dimly aware that by lying limp, the dog will leave me alone. I don't know why. The possums don't need to know why. They just need to know that the dog will leave them alone this way.
Okay, so now there's some other places where animals deceive. It's in mimicry and camouflage and something that's called diametic behavior.
Dematic?
No, diamatic. It's when you pretend to be something that you're not, like bigger than you are or a predator that you aren't. And I'm thinking of the lesser anteater that I ran across in several different places. If you go after the anteater to take a picture or to get closer, sometimes they just give up and they turn around and they stand on two legs, because they're normally four-legged, and they'll spread their arms out like this. And I tell you, it's pretty terrorizing.
Don't you think that's because they have a complex from being called lesser anteaters?
Yes. Well, the greater anteater might do it too, but that would be a really big animal fussing at you. Right. Yeah. There we go.
So those red-winged blackbirds, when they're singing their mating song and their red epaulets puff way out and it makes their shoulders look really big. Are they doing that kind of thing?
Could well be. They're just looking bigger and brighter than maybe.
And more manly.
And more
I
manly.
am a manly red-winged blackbird.
Right. So there's so many examples out there. I mean, we could just spend most of the show, and maybe we will, talking about this.
And we have.
So one kind of mimicry that I liked is to do your colors so you completely disappear. I'm not really here. And the blue.
I didn't think you were.
And neither is anyone else. We're just all by ourselves. No one's watching this.
You didn't have me fooled.
Yeah. So the blue morph, it's a beautiful butterfly that is down in the tropics. It's in Central America, and it's colored in such a way that when it goes through the forest, it just disappears because the colors interact with sunlight. So you are deceived in thinking that the butterfly is not there. And then all of a sudden you catch the blue and go, oh my gosh, that's a really big butterfly. So it's predator aphasia.
Does that depend on the way our eyeballs work?
I think it's they probably evolved for the way a lot of eyeballs work, not just
Okay.
ours, because they're trying to stay away from hawks and things like that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a kind of deception, and maybe we should get just for a little bit, look at a little bit closer to home, that in our own backyards, I'm in the Northeast, squirrels, the eastern gray squirrel will go around with an acorn or a nut in their mouth and pretend to bury, but not bury it, and then go somewhere else and pretend to bury it. And they're trying to deceive others to think that they have already buried it or where exactly they buried it. It's like a magician's thing. Is it here? Where did they bury that?
Now, how do we know that they're not just changing their mind about what would be the best place to bury this nut? I think it would go here. No, I think it better go somewhere else.
Well, they did a study with scrub jays, and the scrub jays would do similar kind of behaviors more when there were other scrub jays around. So they didn't,
Okay.
they're not just indecisive. They're going, oh, somebody's watching me, so I better do this. So are the jays thinking that? Are the squirrels thinking that? Somebody's there watching me, and I only do this behavior when there's someone else around.
Right. And that might just be learned behavior based on I will have more success
Right.
if I act this way when others are watching and act this other way when others aren't watching. We just don't have any clear indication that they have an idea that other animals have beliefs and desires.
So, and then let's take chimps. They've done studies with chimps and chimps with humans. And it's clear that they will hide a banana and not eat it if another chimp is in the room. Normally they would just eat it, but if there's another chimp in the room, they will try to hide it. If you have a banana out in the yard somewhere or wherever they're experimenting, and the one chimp sees it, the one chimp won't go directly to the food, but will go woo, 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 make an indirect course, go behind trees if there's another chimp watching them.
Okay, so let's just make sure we understand this. So if I'm a chimp and I've got a banana, why don't I just eat the banana instead of, why would I want to hide it? Why wouldn't I just eat the banana?
I'm guessing that the other chimp will come want some of it and harass you for
Okay,
it.
so it's not a matter of it's just rude to eat in front of other chimps. It's if I'm maybe this is why we think it's rude, because if you do that, then others will come and want some of what you're eating.
That's why some of us don't eat in front of people.
Yeah,
It doesn't count. Yeah, they might want some of it.
because the others
right.
will want some.
Right,
so
right.
so I'm the beta chimp and I've got this banana and I was about to eat it, and then alpha chimp comes around the corner, and if I'm eating it, alpha chimp will come and take it away from me because I can't eat it.
I don't know if
that
they have
fast.
alphas, but generally they could harass each other. Yes,
So, but he's larger than me.
maybe
let's
it's
just-
your kids that want it. So,
Well, it's my hypothetical. I get to say he's bigger than me if I want to.
well, let's just move it on. We have other examples to get to.
So because he's bigger than me, X hypothesis, I decide to hide the banana.
All right. Okay.
So, but I need to hide it where Mr. Big Chimp won't see it.
Mhm.
Right. So does that mean I have a belief about what Mr. Big Chimp has in his, do I have a belief that he has a belief about where the banana is? Or have I just learned that I'm more successful at keeping the banana to myself if I hide it somewhere where he's not looking?
So all good examples. Let's do a couple more before we wrap up, and then we're going to come back to answering that question. The European duncock, it's a male.
Are you sure he's done?
All done. They have this bird when the female gets out of sight and they've had some distance of time apart, the male duncock will go peck on the cloaca of the female to get the female to expel any supposed sperm that may have been deposited there if she had a dalliance when she was away from him.
Yeah.
So
Never done that.
yeah, so it's like deception is built in, and it's very similar in humans too.
Now, that's not a deception, though. Is
Well,
it?
the
Or is it?
deception is that she's going off having a dalliance when they're in a social monogamous relationship. And if he was there, he would stop her. So when he's not watching, and the males do it too, then she's going off with extra pair copulations is what it's called.
Well, that's not a deception either. I mean, they didn't sign a prenup.
So
They don't have a contract. They
But
didn't make a marriage covenant.
the point is that deception is sort of a subconscious thing. In humans, if there's a bonded pair, and they did this test with men and women in a bonded pair, and she's gone for 3 days, the male sperm concentration goes up when she's out of sight. And it's theorized the reason why it does that, because there's a presumed dalliance, and that his sperm has to compete with other sperm that might be there. So it's his child.
Now, I'm still not sure that's a case of deception, but what I like about that example
Mhm.
is that it shows us that a response to that situation, in this case, the male's sperm count goes way up. He's not even aware that it's doing that. He's not aware of why it might be doing that, or even that it's doing that. We've got these ways that biologically we respond to situations without any idea that somebody else has an intention, a belief, or a desire. It's
So-
just the way our bodies respond.
So it's okay to lie and deceive since it's built into us.
Well, what's built into our social system is policing that, having systems
Right.
where we say that's not okay.
Right, because we want more trust, we want more functionality, we want to reduce harm. And so we check our
Because
biology.
our
where-
tribe's got to cooperate, or the
Right.
tribe on the other side of the hill will
Right.
wipe us out.
Right. So we are aware of our biology. We know we're just, we're liars all the way through, subconsciously, but our culture, enables us to kind of rein that in a little bit so we can have more love, less harm, and more trust. And
Um,
that's why we're doing this segment today on deception on our Nurture Nature show.
Some of it's intentional, maybe all of it is unintentional.
So it's April Fool's. So of all those examples we gave of animals, which one of those was not true?
The chimp, the fish at the bottom of the ocean,
The spider, the killdeer,
possum.
the human. Which one of those were not real? Go ahead and put it into the chat and let us know. And the answer is they were all real. April Fools. We weren't trying to kill you. Yeah.
good
But-
one.
Good one. So now we are going to do our little quiz. These are multi-species news events in the past week since we last met. And guess which one is wrong? The first one is about demon ducks. It's a prehistoric duck that lived 25 million years ago, and they had really big beaks, and their beaks were so big that they had all this muscle that they had to squish their brains flat because there just wasn't space for their brains. And yet they were remarkably effective, and they were on the planet for 25 billion years before they went extinct. Okay, what's your example?
Second
from the news?
example, scholars studying prehistoric life in Wales recently got an assist from an unexpected source. Rabbits making a burrow on Stockholm Island, 2 miles off the coast of Southwest County in Pembrokeshire, dug up 2 Stone Age tools, as well as early Bronze Age pottery shards. Archaeologist rabbits.
Demon ducks, archaeologist rabbits. And the last one is we know how smart crows are. They remember humans' faces. They know who did them wrong, who feeds them, and who throws rocks at them. They've got this all figured out. So they did a study, and they had some neighbors feed and allow the crows to get to cat food on their porch, and others would actually kind of yell at the crows. And they actually found out that the crows pooped more on the cars of the people who did not feed them as much.
So which one is false?
Which-
Demon ducks, archaeologist rabbits, or spiteful crows?
Well, we're just going to keep taking in comments, and we'll come.
Spiteful pooping crows.
We're going to come back and answer that at the end. So go ahead and guess away. So the next segment of our show is conservation news.
Bum, bum, bum.
And in the
Conservation
Northeast,
news.
it is Easter time. A lot of children, they have a cultural tradition of going out and looking for eggs around the yards. And I just want to give you the news here at One Earth Conservation. We have a project working with parrots in Honduras. We had 11 nests poached this week. Poached means they took eggs illegally so they could
Oh.
sell them internationally for the illegal wildlife
Yeah.
trade. So we lost a whole bunch of eggs.
Doesn't mean the eggs are poached. It means they are poached.
Yeah, but probably a lot of them do die. I know you're trying to make a joke, but a lot of them do die. So
Right.
folks, this week,
It's bad.
go out and look for candy eggs, but leave the parrot eggs alone.
If you have parrot eggs in your area, if you have robin eggs in your area, leave those alone too.
Right. So I'm not seeing anyone guess yet. So I guess we're just going to have to give them the answer. Which one was the fib that we made up?
It was the spiteful pooping crows.
Spiteful crows. They don't do that, or not that we know of. So as we wrap up, part of nurturing our nature is to pause. It's our moment of pausing. And we're going to do this with a poem adapted from William Blake. Those who bind to themselves a joy,
Do the winged life destroy.
but they who kiss the joy as it flies.
Live in eternity's sunrise.
Well, that's our show. It's right at 20 minutes. We know you all got to get back to all your busy lifetime schedules. We'll be meeting same time next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. And what are we going to talk about next week?
Maybe we'll talk about how animals tell the truth next week.
Let's do that. Let's just kind of bounce back from this deceiving piece. And in the middle, we're going to post this up. It'll be recorded so you can come back and watch it and send us comments and questions. Go to our website, oneearthconservation.org. And so, folks, it's time to go. And then until next time, remember, you are an animal.
So act like one.
You can't help it.
So help it.